I need to know, is your mom still a baddie? Is she still upset that I pumped and dumped? It doesn't matter. Today we're going to be talking about a slop fest of a game. Right away you're introduced to two characters, one of which you're embodying, the white dude with tattoos, and you're thieves, you're scum of the earth, you're garbage. And I love how in modern games you always got to come out as the edgy new guys, the guys that, they're down on their luck, they're poor, so they got to steal from other people. I mean, you're scumbags, you're losers, whatever. But this game is a sore spot for me because when making this video, I've had some issues trying to figure out how I describe how much of a cesspool-ridden garbage heap it is. And it doesn't help that the developers of this game have to go to Kotaku and GameSpot and complain how they were on the murder row of games and how if they were making a game back in 2014, this would be a huge success and everybody would love it because it's not really a world that we're living in for first-person narrative shooters. Our Immortals of Aveum game isn't getting the love it deserves. We're developers. We work hard. Support the devs. And it's games like this slop fest where when you get your first death in the game and you know from that moment that bitch is gonna come back. She's gonna come back in the game and she's gonna be, she might be a villain. She's a villain now. And then she becomes your ally, just like 100% a rip-off of Captain America's movie. That's what this game is. It's Marvel slop, but without the build-up that Marvel had, without the momentum that Marvel had, where it could get away with having some cheesy humor from the Disney Channel. This game has no build-up, and the worst part about this game isn't the devs going out and crying because nobody bought their piece of shit. The worst part about this game was the fact that there was potential to be had here. There was a moment in time where I saw this game as being something I was excited for, and that hurts me because I have trouble getting excited for games anymore because I'll see the first announcement trailer and it'll have like cool action and it looks like it's dark fantasy but with a first-person magic combat, and I'm like, yes, that's for me. They made that for King Jiffy Coats. But then I get this slop drool in my mouth, this garbage can cesspool-ridden shit that the devs have the audacity to say that this will be the next cult classic when this isn't anything more than an M-rated Disney Channel original movie game. That is it. Every 3 seconds, this game really fancies itself as a movie too. There was times where I was like, did Hideo Kojima make this? Because it's pretending to be more of a movie than it is a game. And you Kojima's fans, if you're mad at me about that, go fuck yourself. I don't really care. It's not like I hate you. I just think Kojima is a self-righteous prick who wants to make movies and is stuck making games, so he tries to make his games movies. This game, however, literally thinks it's a movie. You get the opening credits before the title flashes that I already showed, and this shit goes on forever. And then it has a cast layout introduction, like it's a movie. You are not a movie, you're a fucking game. Flash the logo, let me play. And that becomes a running joke for me throughout this entire campaign because you'll get a use your magic powers for what feels like 15 seconds in the early game, and then you're weighed down by lore dump on top of lore dump on top of lore dump. And the absolute worst part about these lore dumps is truly the fact that you could care less because the game really hasn't given you a reason to care because it doesn't dive into any of these deeper things going on. It is very by the numbers generic story, so when it's throwing made up words at you that is like supposed to fit this fantasy motif they have going on, you're like, oh, you're just making up shit. You're just making up shit and then throwing it on your fucking Mad Libs of fantasy. That's what you're doing. Oh, but wait, let's cut it up with some jokes. Let's make sure we have some hilly ha-has going here. And if you're thinking, oh, well, it's not bad to have a little bit of humor to break the tension every now and then, this game likes to break the tension with humor every 5 goddamn seconds. And it's nothing like good. It's not like Ryan Reynolds out there, and I know somebody will be out there like, oh, well, Ryan Reynolds isn't that funny. At least he knows timing, right? This game doesn't understand timing worth a shit at all. Every 2 seconds, it'll be a serious, oh, they just died. Well, looks like we won't have to deal with him anymore. Oh, these guys might be pretty bad. Well, it looks like they put the E in evil. Oh, where's the bad guy? Is he right behind me? It's the stupid, like, 2000s Disney bullshit humor. This game legit feels like a Disney Channel original movie, but they threw in some cuss words throughout the game to make sure they really pin down the flag on that M rating. I don't understand how anyone with any sort of talent in writing or comedy would sit down and pen something this fucking garbage. I understand that you probably went to some fancy college. You probably studied narrative design and all this other bullshit. I want you to know that you need to go back to whatever school you went to and ask for your fucking money back, because they did a shit job in teaching you. That, or you're just so dense you didn't understand what making a good narrative actually means, and you should get out of writing altogether. You would make the world a better place if you never wrote again. You should just go into a hole somewhere, get a job shoveling shit on the side of the highway, and, you know, the world would be better off that way. You would be contributing to the world instead of making slop like this, because nothing in the story is redeemable here. It is garbage. You think you lose somebody? No, they come back as a villain. Oh, at the end of the game, and this is a way ahead of time spoiler, my bad, you get one good moment in this game where the hero is going to sacrifice himself. After playing through a game with the most generic story of all time, and it was going to have the generic self-sacrifice, save the world thing, at least it was going to do something that I didn't think this game was capable of. Having an actual death that mattered. Finishing off a character strong. But you know what? After all this, you get some garbage dialogue between the other three protagonists who are fucking as dense as walls. And then he comes back anyways, because, oh, well, the super being that he saved decided he liked him, so I guess he doesn't have to die. Garbage, dude. Absolutely trash. Now I know what you're thinking. That's enough on story, King Jeffy. You've been shitting on it hard enough. And I will get back to shitting on the story a little bit later, but let's talk about combat. Now, early on in this game, I was having an absolute blast with this combat. I thought that it was well designed. I liked the fact that there's 3 different styles of magic, and you can kind of upgrade those to the best of your abilities, and it's almost got this Borderlands typical, well, actually, this is where it gets garbage, but it's got that Borderlands tier system where it's like legendary, rare, and common, and I hate that they put that in this game instead of just letting me customize and upgrade the magic naturally, because I kept worrying about what type of weapon I needed to equip, and then forgetting about the fact that I had to upgrade. And then this game, if you spend too much time upgrading one type of magic, you're screwed in the other two, because the game will randomly, midway through, throw some enemies at you where you have to use the other style of magic, because no other attack really works on them, so you're fucking hosed otherwise. So then you have to go back and start adding in your fucking XP points into the other magic, and by the time you get done with the game, you really haven't leveled up anything enough to do much damage. On top of the fact that you have to constantly be worrying about what level of gun you have, whether it's gold, blue, or purple, or whatever the fucking colors are. It really is so many different styles of game shoved into this game to try to force you to do things, and it just feels like these devs looked at other games and they're like, oh, well, Doom's doing the fast-paced shooter thing, we need to do that in our game. Oh, well, look over here, look, Borderlands and all these other games are doing a tier loot system, let's do that too. Oh, well, we need to have a skill tree. Obviously, we need to have an overblown skill tree because other games have overblown skill trees, so you're just constantly at odds with all these different systems, and at first in the game you don't notice this, but once you hit the midway point when enemies start having obnoxious amounts of health, I mean, I'm talking, you're fighting the same enemy for what feels like 20 minutes at a time. I know that I'm exaggerating on that it never was probably more than 5-10 minutes, but when you're fighting one enemy in a slew of a bunch of enemies and it's just constantly weighing you down, this game embodied a spongy bullet sponge enemy design better than any other game I'd ever played. When I was about halfway through this game, it hit me that I didn't like it anymore. And the one redeeming quality slowly started ringing around the toilet bowl, and I was starting to get sick with myself. Because even though I didn't purchase this game, it was given to me through PlayStation's one of their programs. I don't know which one. The monthly games, that's it. I was hating it so much. And the characters are just so one-dimensional and annoying. And they'll have a moment where they start to show some dimension, but then let's just break it with a joke. And of course, we have to have the obnoxiously buff woman in the game. I mean, it's a game made in the modern era. Talk about realistic beauty standards all the time. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of muscle mommies in the internet. Not one of them is 6'8" and has biceps the size of your body. I hear these people that complained about Stellar Blade and stuff and how that's unrealistic beauty standards and shit, but then they'll put a muscle mommy in a game that is so unrealistically bullshit that any girl that would play this has decided to get into bodybuilding will never achieve this, and that's just as bad. I don't care, we'll put whatever you want into the game. I just know that you will not see heat in the industry on chicks like this, but you will see heat in the industry if you put somebody with nice tits in a game, and that bothers me, and it's gonna fill a zone in my mind. I'm fully happy with whatever the developer tries to put in. I just think it's a crazy double standard. But let's go back to the story for a little bit, because I'm sure you're wondering what this game's about. I've kind of glanced over it, I've shit on it, but the main plot of this story is basically there's the all-powerful bad leader guy who used to be, there was a bunch of tribes fighting each other for power. Well, now one guy's coming in and becoming the ultimate fascist. What a shocker, a game in the modern age that revolves around one guy being the fascist. And that's not me trying to make like a political statement out of this video, it's just kind of a very rundown trope at this point. And he is comically evil, he is at times, and then at other times he's supposed to be the charming guy, and of course he's gonna backstab you. It's just so generic. I don't know why I said comically evil, because yeah, he does get to that point at times, but most of the time he's trying to be the charming guy that you can like, oh, I can understand why somebody wants to side with him. Oh no, he's actually bad? What a shocker. It's that over and over again, and throughout this game, you never really have anything that you haven't seen before. But basically, he's trying to take over because he thinks that the reason that there's this giant void in the earth that's taking all the magic and gonna implode the entire world is because of the supreme magic being. And so you and your ragtag group are fighting against him, but then to gain control of the fonts, yeah, like New Times Roman, before he gets control so that he doesn't get control of all the magic. But then you just switch all of a sudden to go after this magical being, but you want to just talk to the magical being because you're like, maybe he's a cool guy, maybe he wants to dab it up. So you go out of your way to go do this, or to go talk to this magical being. Of course, bad guy tries to kill it. Then you find out that basically there was this other sub-race that was supposed to absorb magic. Well, humans just saw them absorbing magic, so they thought they were bad. And insert racism subplot. And here we go, we're on the racism arc. And you're gonna tell me that these games aren't hyper-political at this point? And I'm not dense, I'm not an idiot like a lot of these guys out here that are like, get politics out of my games. No, I understand that politics is in everything. Everything's gonna have a political lean to it. I played through RoboCop, and I understand that that is a saturnization of capitalism in America running amok. I understand that. I'm not dense. But I look at this game and it's so in your face and the writing's so piss poor that your whole subplot that could have been really well crafted and I could have like felt for these characters. I don't give a shit. Instead, what happened was I started the whole area and then I see that it's a whole racism subplot and it's so in your face that I literally stopped and was like, we're doing racism right now? That's what we're doing? That's your big story revelation? Is racism? Come on, dude. It's just like the biggest slop in your face of just, yeah, racism bad. It's a bad thing. Wow, none of us knew that. Thank you, Immortals of Aveum, for bringing this to light, that treating others poorly is a bad thing to do. Wow, real clever writing. No nuance nuance, no building up to this. No, just slap it in your face. Racism, look what your kind did to me. You think that blah blah blah. It's the same shit over and over. Oh, I might be one of the good ones. It's just so, he literally says that. Oh, because I'm one of the good ones. It's that terrible, awful, forced racism writing, and I hated it. I wish these games went into something, a topic like that, and actually put nuance and thought into it, and didn't make the whole game feel like this is the crucial moment. Pay the fuck attention, sit down, take out your notes, and learn from me, you stupid morons. You need to learn because you're a stupid fucking bigot. That is what this game is yelling at you, and if you can't see that, you are a dense motherfucker. And to be honest, that's my biggest problem with games like this. Games where these devs are so entitled and they think so highly of themselves that when they write out slop like this and they're like, ooh, look how good I am. I touched on the real issues. I did my part. Hey, fuck you, dude. You didn't go back to school, get a different degree, become an electrician or something, because you can't write for shit. You wrote slop. It is garbage. I never liked a single second of your story because I've seen it a million times. It's so funny, like, when your friend dies at the beginning, I know that she's gonna come back, and as soon as I see a bad guy with a mask on, oh, well, that's your friend, obviously, and then I find out who the bad guy is, and you see him, and you see your friend right next to him. Well, he obviously has a way to make the world better, but that's the fascist way, and obviously you're gonna have to tell your friend that, and then she's gonna come join your side, and then there's gonna be a big self-sacrifice at the end of the game, but it's not really gonna be a self-sacrifice. It's going to be I don't know what, there's a literary term for that, but it's just gonna be bullshit. It's gonna be bullshit. And from every story plot in this game, it is something you have seen a million times before, but done better in almost every other medium. And then when it comes to the gameplay, the only place this game showed potential, it is weighed down by other generic bullshit you've seen in every other FPS game that they tried to shoehorn into this bitch because they had to make it, they had to go with the trends, because this game isn't doing anything original. It is not trying to break any molds. They think they're breaking molds, but that's in their little deluded, entitled minds. And that's my problem with a lot of this stuff, is its entitlement, and the entitlement drips off of this fucking game. From the first time interview they did after this game was released and it didn't make the money they wanted, they started crying to all the journalists, because they'll have their side, they're like-minded, they're entitled pricks too. So now I'm gonna go complain to these entitled pricks about, they didn't like our game because it's not because we didn't make a good game, it's because of everything else. We're the victim. Fuck you, dude. You were lazy, you didn't create a good story, you didn't create a good gameplay loop, and now you're stuck looking at Papa EA, wondering why you're not getting funding for your next big game, and it's because you didn't take the time to craft something brilliant. You pushed out a product that you believed was good, that you didn't take the time to have somebody who was of sound mind and maybe a little bit edgy look at it and be like, I don't think this is gonna work the way you think it is. I think what's going to happen, as soon as somebody hears a little bit of that dialogue, they're going to pass on your $70 game and move on to something with actual substance. Maybe the $60 RoboCop. Maybe that's the game they'll play, and that's exactly what consumers did, and these devs couldn't fucking handle it. And I know that this is different than my normal retrospective style, because there's nothing worth going through this game for. I mean, it sucks. Again, I'm going to reiterate how close this combat loop was to actually being fun. There was moments early on in this game where I was like, this is kind of fun. I could see playing through this game like I did with Dead Island 2, where Dead Island 2's story wasn't anything to write home about, but at least Dead Island 2 had such a fun gameplay loop that I was constantly going and doing every side quest, going and killing everything. I would just run around mosh pitting against zombies. This game, the enemies are so so annoying to fight after a certain point in the game that you just want to push through it. You just want to put your teeth to the grindstone and move on. And it does suck because there are great moments in this game, like you're seeing right here, right now, where I was looking up into the sky and this big guy came and saw me, and there was some beautiful set design in this game. Now, does the game do anything great with the set design? Not really. Most of the time you fight in the same arenas you see at the beginning of the game all the way through the end of the game. And when you do get to like sink your teeth into an area, which I was really doing early on in the game, because I was like, wow, these are gorgeous world. This is a beautiful world. I want to dive into it. After you see the first like 4 locations, it's like, oh, well, yeah, we're like a sub open world style game, so you've basically seen everything you need to see, and we're not going to do more than that. So about halfway through the game, if you've already figured out the story, there's really no need for you to keep playing. I pushed through. I don't know why. I put myself through the hell that is the 15 hours of game this thing calls itself, but I did. And it sucks because everything I saw going for the game early on, it took and then like sat me in a chair and then like spread its butt cheeks to me and just unloaded a load right into my mouth. And I didn't want that. I didn't consent to that. But this game just kept fucking vomiting it at my face. It was like a Taco Bell shit right in my mouth. And I didn't want that. And this game just threw its bullshit. And it sucks too because this game had like some frame rate drops. And it's like, wow, you paid more attention to your cutscenes and how pretty your game looked at times to sacrifice the actual gameplay. The only slightly redeeming quality of your game was sacrificed because you really want to make that story. You want to make those cutscenes shine. Who cares about your cutscene when you make a boring story? And that's all I got for you guys today. This was a shorter one. I know that I could have broke down this game scene by scene, moment by moment, but there's nothing to break down. It is generic slop that everyone on it should probably find a different career and stop making garbage games. I'm out.